to Satellite Off-Road School episode 2 of Adventure Bike Crashes, but why, where we break down adventure bike crashes and give you some feedback, let you know what went wrong, and hopefully help you be safer and prevent having these crashes yourself. The crashes we look at today are very different from what we've had in the last episode, so it'll be cool to have completely different techniques and kind of break that down a little bit. So everyone that signed up for the Adventure Academy after the last video, really appreciate your guys' support. My online digital training course, 18 chapters, currently super cheap, right? I mean, there's so much value in this course, 18 chapters, all the different training drills, and one-time payment. You have access forever. You can watch these videos at your own time, on your phone, on your computer. You can re-watch episodes, you can re-watch different chapters. If you have questions, you can always reach out, and happy to answer them. We've had a lot of emails this week with people clarifying certain things, so it's really cool to see. So if you want to take your riding to the next level, theadvacademy.com will help you get there. And without wasting any more time, let's get into the first crash for today. So the first video we'll look at is from Ideal Bike here on YouTube. He submitted this through my Instagram. Has a really cool channel, so make sure you check out his channel, kind of documenting how he progresses and learns how to ride adventure bike. Goes down practicing a skid. So we're going to break this down in the different steps to kind of see what happened here. And there's a couple different things. Number one, it's not the ideal terrain to practice a skid. It's that groove where he's on, this sort of like dirt path is perfect, low traction, but then it's very narrow. It's interrupted with the grass, which is always difficult, because if you're skidding on grass, it's just way too slick. The bike moves way too quick, and if you're just getting into it and you don't really know how to control it, the bike just slides away from you too quickly for you to react. And this is exactly what happened to him in this clip. A couple other things in the body position in general. When you're learning to skid, it's a lot easier for you to do that sitting down. You just have a little bit more connection with the bike. But yeah, let's break this down. Let's see. So he has a good run up here. Not too fast, which is important when you're first getting started. Like I said, standing up is not ideal. He locks up, and then this is the moment right here. The bike gets on the grass. He loses the rear end super quickly. It slides back onto the dirt, and that's where the bike stops and then locks up. A couple things with the standing up. You see that here. His foot goes forward. His knee pushes forward. Kind of, at that point he has his hips unaligned. So he's not really connected to the bike when it starts sliding away from him. And difficult from there. We'll stop that here real quick so you can see how his right knee is pushed further forward than his left knee, so his hips are slightly rotated, and then that will kind of really unalign him on the bike. Again, it's much easier to do that when you're sitting down. So the second point is here, you have to come off the brake. So this is the point right there where the bike starts sliding. You have to react quick, like come off the rear brake so the rear tire can rotate, the bike can roll forward, and you can get out of it. And those are the things that you have to pay close attention to when you're working on the skids, when you're new to the skids. It's a really fun technique to learn. It's a really good technique to master, especially if you're riding more off-road. And the three things that you really have to pay attention to is, one, your entry speed, which in his case was good. There was no problem there. Number two, like I said, sit down, so you have a little bit better connection to the bike, and then find yourself a spot that has a little bit more speed, more space. So what I would recommend in his case is actually go a little bit faster, let the bike slide straight a little bit longer, and then at the very end try to get that rotation through the bike, through the handlebars, and leaning into that turn a little bit. So he's trying to do a lot with body rotation. Like I said, he's pushing his hips around, trying to get the rotation that way. It's a lot easier in a space where it's slick to just lock up the rear of the bike, have it skid along, and then at the very end you just sort of like lean in as if you're turning left, turn the handlebars the opposite direction, so you're counter steering on the handlebars, turn the bars to the right, and then you just feel the bike sliding around without actually physically doing a lot of pushing, pulling. There's a whole chapter of this in the ADV Academy. So again, if you're really trying to perfect skills like this, the advacademy.com is the place for you to learn that. I really appreciate Ideal Bike sending over his video. Like I said, check out his channel and you know, kind of see what he's up to. Has a lot of different videos there where he kind of rides all sorts of different terrain, so that's always cool to see. And we'll jump into the next one and see what went wrong there. Clip number 2 is from Shrikant Rao, who sent me an email with a link to his Instagram account. So I have his account linked below. Make sure you give him a follow there. He's really letting the Royal Enfield fly, and really major body position problem there. So we're just gonna click play here, watch this, and then again we're gonna watch it in slow-mo. We're gonna have some stops. You can see he's lucky here, it's not an actual crash, so he's able to ride out of it. Lucky for him, you know, he was just jumping far enough to where the front of the bike you know, stopped rotating downwards, so he landed, was able to stay on the bike, but obviously we don't want to rely on luck like that, and make sure we don't crash. So we always talk about having you know, to kind of lock in your knees right on the balls of your feet, drop your heels so the weight transfers a little bit to the rear of the bike. You keep your chest forward so that moments like this don't happen. Obviously adventure bikes are not really built to jump, so they will always, you know, take off a little bit funny. You know, when you try to jump over some bumps or you know, little jumps, the suspension always rebounds a little funky. So the way we're going to break this down here is, if you look at his knees, if you look at his hips, as soon as he rides into the jump, everything pushes forward. His hips are super low, his butt's almost on the seat, you know, so the suspension compresses, all his weight moves forward, and then the bike rebounds and just kind of pogos him off the bike. So now in slow-mo you can see right here, so if you watch his knees right now, knees are going to push forward as soon as he goes up. Right there he gets compromised or compressed on the bike. You see how low he's almost sitting right now. And then if you look at him from a sideways shot, he's completely centered on the bike. His hips push forward, his back's rounded, his elbows are tucked in, knees are forward, so they're like neck tucked in, and then he just gets pogoed off the bike. Again, lucky here to not go over the bars, but a very compromised position on the bike when you do that. And in every video we talk about not working too much with your knees when you're riding through the bumps, when you're riding into uphills, and this is a prime example why you shouldn't be doing that. Use your ankles, use your, you know, drop your heel, flex in your ankles. Don't use your knees as an extra set of suspension, especially not this excessive. It is so low on the bike, and from there the suspension will always rebound and will always buck you forward. So you want to make sure that you lock yourself in a position where your hips are, so like behind the engine, your chest is forward, so you have the bike underneath you. You don't want to be straight up on your bike, especially when you're riding bumps or jumps like this. And in the case that something like this does happen to you, try to keep a little bit of bend in your elbows, right? That kind of keep your elbows at 90 degrees, so when the bike comes back down, you don't just get slammed forward like that. You're actually able to use your forearms, use your elbows a little bit to compensate for that landing. So yeah, super happy that he didn't go down in this one, but a really good video to sort of like analyze of what bad body position on the bike will do to you when you're hitting some gnarly terrain. This is it for episode 2. Like I said in the beginning, 2 very different crashes from the last episode. So it was great, you know, to kind of cover the different techniques and to see how, again, a couple of very small mistakes that are easy to avoid, you know, can lead to some pretty big crashes. So if you'd like to be featured in an upcoming episode, my email is in the description below. Please send me a clip, ideally a clip from the outside, right? GoPro footage is always a little bit tricky because it's hard to really analyze body position on a bike when all you do, when all we have is sort of like that view from the GoPro. Next episode will be out next week. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.